At war with Europe, Putin has decided to visit India. Why this 30-hour stopover could rattle regional and international politics as well as alliances is what we will look into. In today's Get This, I share with you a high-stakes, tightly choreographed 30-hour visit where energy deals, defense pacts, and threats of sanctions loom large. All this is happening on international stage, where powerful observers wait for the outcome with bated breaths. Vladimir Putin's return to New Delhi, his first since the Ukraine invasion, isn't diplomacy as usual. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's infamous hugs and handshakes may trend online, but what's being negotiated in the back rooms could redraw India's strategic map for the next decade. My take is that this is a reset for both Moscow and New Delhi. Let's look at why this visit has assumed a special significance. For Moscow, Europe has iced out Russian oil and defense ties. India is still one of Russia's biggest lifelines for crude oil. Putin needs to tell the world that he holds more cards than his rivals thinks he does, and India is one of them. And now for India, it's a delicate diplomatic moment because Trump is openly pressuring Delhi to cut Russian oil purchases or face tariffs. Russian crude imports are already dipping. American LNG is surging. Washington wants India to ditch Russian arms, even as Trump signals he may host Putin in Alaska. One can argue here that if the US can engage with Moscow by rolling out red carpets, India can deal with Russia too. Now, Russia's technically never promoted a conflict in this region. We want peace in Asia is a notably strong Putin stance. Moscow is selling itself as a stabilizer, not as an exporter of Ukraine-style conflict. It's also nurturing ties with Pakistan. Scholarships, exchanges, limited security dialogue, signaling it wants better relations with South Asia as a bloc, not just India. Experts believe Putin's visit indicates that it can continue to be at war with Ukraine and all its allies and still continue to conduct diplomacy effortlessly. India-Russia trade exploded from $10 billion pre-war to nearly $69 billion, mostly cheap oil. As sanctions bite harder, Russia needs steady Indian purchases, new energy investments, and smoother payment channels. Defense co-production is Moscow's big pitch. Don't just buy our systems, build them with us. Let's look at what actually is on the table. First up, energy, the biggest fight. India won't abandon Russia oil, not when it fuels 1.45 billion people, but wants pricing flexibility and long-term assurances. They expect oil supply stabilization talks, Indian investments in the Arctic, expansion of nuclear cooperation. Next up on the table is defense. India wants predictability, Russia wants co-production. S-400 deliveries need fast-tracking. Moscow is expected to push for Su-57 fighter co-manufacturing. India wants guaranteed spares of Su-30s, Mi-17s, and T-90s. New R&D, especially BrahMos upgrades, is on the menu too. The presence of Russia's defense minister and Rosaporn export brass signals this is the meat of the visit. Next up, we have trade and mobility. A record $68.7 billion bilateral trade masks a painful truth. India only exports $4.88 billion back to Russia. India wants market access for pharma, machinery, agriculture, long-term fertilizer deals, a regulated pathway for skilled Indian workers. Russia, short on labor and investment, is receptive of this. Now, last but not the least about Ukraine, Modi will repeat the familiar script, call for peace, avoid condemnation. Useful for Moscow, pragmatic for India. Now, interestingly, Pakistan is watching all this with its usual mix of vigilance and a smirk. Its view, future Russian weapons heading to India aren't frightening. Russian hardware is strong, yes, and the real variable is who's flying it. If India handles new systems the way it handled its Rafales during the May 2025 clash, then the problem isn't the aircraft, but the operator. I asked analysts what they think about this whole visit.
Vladimir Putin heads to India this week with a very clear objective: reinforce Moscow's grip on a government that has become one of Russia's most dependable outlets for oil, money, and defense deals. This visit is about keeping India aligned with Russian interests. For the United States, especially under Trump, this raises serious concerns. Washington has repeatedly flagged India's role in helping Russia move discounted oil and stabilize its wartime economy. Critics have even described India as a financial pressure valve for Moscow, a role New Delhi hasn't exactly denied through its actions. Pakistan, meanwhile, has carried the real burden in the fight against terrorism. India has positioned itself as a partner of convenience, shifting depending on who offers the better deal. So as Putin arrives, the message is unmistakable. Russia sees India as a reliable asset, not an independent actor. And for US policymakers, this visit is another reminder that New Delhi's alignment is far more transactional than strategic.
Now let's see what's likely after this 30-hour-long visit. A statement reaffirming a privileged strategic partnership, progress on S-400 timelines for delivery, a push toward joint fighter and missile development, new energy and nuclear frameworks, movement on skilled worker migration, and of course, images of Modi and Putin performing strategic neighborliness for the cameras. The real outcomes emerge after the closed-door marathon on December 5th.